Good afternoon and welcome to Northern Maine Productions. So, little update for 2023 on the snapper mowers. So far, so good. They are both running good. This machine right here is older. This is the older one of the two. This one dates from about 1970 to 71. This machine was originally a 2650 snapper, which makes this a Series 0 mower. This is a very early one. It's been modified quite a lot. Obviously, it's got a gas tank mounted behind the seat. It's got a newer seat on it. This machine also now has a 30-inch deck on it. Originally, it had a 26-inch deck on it. I don't know whatever become of that. That got changed around long before I ever got this machine. You can tell that this is an old machine because it still has the 4-lug wheels on the rear. So I converted this to electric start, obviously, and I put this 11 horsepower industrial commercial engine on it last summer. That engine runs pretty good. Doesn't burn hardly any oil, which is pretty amazing for the age of it. I think that motor dates from 1984, I believe. There's not much else to talk about on that machine there. The transmission's working just fine. It's actually a little bit safer to run than this machine because the brakes actually still work on this old one. I'm looking forward to getting this summer out of this machine quite easily, I think. Amazingly, the original tires are still holding up on this thing. They haven't blown out yet. They're really weather cracked bad. I guess I have spare tires and tubes, so I guess I might just as well run these ones until they're blown out. The headlight system works good on this. I actually did use this some late last fall. I mowed with it some near dark, and I mowed for quite a long time with it with the headlight on, and it did not drain the battery. The light didn't get dim or anything. So the 3081, this is a vintage 1975. It's a 3081 WS. This one originally did have electric start on it. This machine has not been modified too much from its original configuration. As you can see, it still has the original 1975 gas tank on the back. And it's got the original 30-inch deck on it. It still has the metal deck cover on it that they had in the early to mid 70s. This machine obviously has the wider tires and wheels on the back of it, which I like sometimes and sometimes I don't like them. What I've discovered with these two machines and using them both is this machine with the wider turf tires on it tends to get stuck a little easier if you get into a little bit of wet grass and a bank or a hill. This one will get stuck quicker than this one over here with these diamond tread tires on them. Them little narrow tires really dig in quite well. The other thing that I've noticed is the one with the narrow tires on the back don't seem to flatten the grass down so much, where this one you'll flatten the grass down a little bit, which isn't, you know, it's not a big deal, but this machine still has an 8-horse Briggs on it. Now, according to from what I can figure out, the 3081 WS model number, as near as I can figure out, the W on that model number detonates that this machine probably had a Tecumseh engine on it when it was new, which wouldn't surprise me. I have seen these with Tecumseh engines on them. Obviously this motor is an early 1980s motor, as it's got the starter cover, the starter faces in the wrong direction. It should not be going up over this gas tank. I think originally it came out here, I believe originally, and you reached in between the seat and the tank. This motor still runs pretty good. It's got an incredible amount of hours on it. It burns quite a lot of oil. That's the gripe with this motor. This motor's pretty tired. Other than that, the mowers themselves are about equally worn. They have about equal wear to the front steering mechanism, and the drive system works about the same on them. I mean, they're not anywhere near perfect. If you look at here, look at this shift quadrant right here, this gives you an idea of how much this machine has been run. These are worn a lot, and that's a pretty substantial piece of steel there. Look how much is worn into there's quite a groove worn into that shifter from shifting it back and forth. This machine, this deck on this has so many hours on it that it literally sandblasted up. The dirt flying off the blade literally sandblasted a hole right out through the back of this deck. There's not much rust on it that I can see. It was just sandblasted right thin. But I patched that up several years ago, and so far it's holding up pretty good. Both of these machines came from the same owner. This 3081 had an engine fire on it. Oh, jumpings, I think back around 2003 or 4. And this one ended up sitting in a barn for a long time. When I drug this one out of the barn in 2016, and it took quite a bit of work to get this one going again. The motor, I had to do some work on the governor, and the exhaust system was gone, and the tires were completely rotted right off of this thing. They wouldn't even take any air just to move it. They would just go right flat just as soon as you. But I've mowed a lot of grass with this old 3081. This has been a really, really good machine for what money I had into it. I think I had a couple $100 invested in it by the time I got it going. I did have to rebuild the mandrel and the deck on this machine at one point. But I'll tell you, these aren't a bad little machine. You know, for something that's, you know, these are 50 years old basically, and they're still mowing grass here in 2023. And this deck, this machine here, this 2650 had been fixed up and had been updated some quite a few years ago. I think back in the early 90s maybe. I don't remember exactly what the guy told me, but it's got the newer style handlebars on it, and he had put a newer style snapper seat on it at one time, which that was completely shot again. He put the 30-inch deck on it. When I got this, it had It had an old 7 horsepower Briggs on it. That was pretty tired. The carburetor was absolutely no good on that. The thing had had water in it for so long. The little post that holds the jet in the bowl on the bottom of the carburetor actually corroded right completely away, and the bowl actually fell right off in it. So the motor was pretty tired, so I just and it was a really old motor. The motor that was on that was from 1969, I believe it was. So I took it off there. I had this 11 horse here that had been setting for a few years, and I got this one going again last summer. This one had been parked out under the trees here for quite a few years, and me and my nephew were looking at the carburetor on this several years ago, and we took the air cleaner off in it, and it said here, I forgot about it, and it said here for probably about a year with no air cleaner on it, and so some water got into it. Just by a stroke of luck, the piston was at top dead center in that thing, so not much damage was done at all. I actually had the head off from that motor last summer, and there's no rust in the cylinder wall at all, which was amazing. And it's obvious it's doing fine. This thing doesn't smoke, it doesn't burn oil or nothing. I'll see if I can start these up really quick and just kind of give you a little demonstration of them. This one, the electric start still works on this machine. The battery's been going in this one the battery's been going in that 3081 for quite a while. That battery's got a 2016 date on it. But anyways, this one here, you have to reach down in here and push the button. It runs pretty good. That was another modification I made to this one. I put the key switch up here on the headstock just because I like it up there better. I don't know if we can get this one to start up again or not. Sometimes this old girl can be a little temperamental to get started. The carburetor sometimes leaks by a little bit, but I just had it going not too long ago, so. Valve train's pretty noisy in this old motor. There. I finally got a video of this old thing starting up and running. I don't know if I've taken too many of it. I think there's a video on my YouTube channel of this machine mowing grass out here in my backyard with my nephew on it, but yeah, this old girl's been a lot of miles since 2016. But anyways, I guess I won't bore you guys anymore. I thought maybe some of you might be interested in how these old girls were doing, and here's the video right here anyways. So I guess I'll call that it. You guys have a good evening. I'll see you again sometime.